When is the term conspiracy theorists going to stop? Because a lot of these theories are now in fact becoming fact. A lot of the stuff we predicted 5 years ago is all coming out and is becoming true. I'm going to show you a video from a YouTube channel called Redacted that does a segment on Dr. Yeadon. He was a Pfizer executive that got cancelled because he said the pandemic didn't exist. Did you know that in the 175 years of Pfizer, they haven't cured one single disease?
How many of you believe there was no pandemic at all? Well, you'd be right, according to ex-Pfizer executive Dr. Michael Yeadon. Again, these aren't my words, although I agree with him. Just to be clear, YouTube censors, these are the words of an ex-Pfizer executive who says there was no pandemic at all. Dr. Michael Yeadon. Now, he says there's no pandemic, and the lie was maintained in order to inject 5.5 billion people with what he says was an intentionally dangerous substance, 17 million of whom have died so far, he says, after having received it. Watch.
There has not been a pandemic. Dennis Rancourt's data shows that the all-cause mortality evidence data did not increase at all in the run-up to the declaration fraudulently by WHO of a pandemic. There is no public health emergency except that created by our governments. A inappropriate, fraudulent PCR test was used to give people the impression that they had a particular disease where they didn't. There were all the normal diseases. And then what happened was, in 3 different ways, people were treated badly through changed medical procedures that were imposed above the level of nation. Briefly, mass ventilation of people inappropriately in hospitals that led to lots of deaths. In care homes, many people were given sedatives and respiratory depressants, which led to their deaths. My PhD was specifically in that area of opiates and respiratory depression. And in the community, people were denied life-saving antibiotics and died of bacterial pneumonia. There's your pandemic. And based on this lie, we were told that vaccines were coming our way and would be our savior. 2 things. As I say, first, there's no pandemic, so you certainly don't need an experimental, rushed medical intervention. But secondly, even if you did, as someone who's worked in the industry for over 30 years, I am telling you, it's absolutely impossible to invent, test, clinically evaluate, and manufacture and then launch on global scale a complex biomedical product. It's absolutely impossible. It's not as close. It's years wrong. The fastest record prior to this was 6 years. So whatever it is you think was done, I am telling you, there was not the development of a proper medical product. What I think happened was the advancement of materials that are intentionally toxic, and then they were sketchily advanced and jammed into people's arms, often coerced, sometimes even mandated, with the unsurprising effect that millions of people have died. So I think having heard what I've just said, that there was no pandemic and the lie was maintained in order to inject people en masse, I think 5.5 billion people, with an intentionally dangerous substance, 17 million of whom have died so far.
Yeadon was early in warning about these shots, and the mainstream media like Reuters at the time, which of course has direct ties to British intelligence, was slamming the doctor, calling him basically a kook for warning people. There was a coordinated effort in 2021, of course, to discredit Dr. Yeadon with all kinds of fact-checking websites jumping on to say how great the COVID shots were, how dangerous Dr. Yeadon's claims were. Here's just one example. This fact check debunked claims by an ex-Pfizer employee about COVID-19. They just call him an employee. Talk about him being an executive, like a scientist. He's just an employee. He's just some guy in the mailroom about COVID-19 vaccines.
He was a vaccine maker.
Exactly. He was by the way, yes, he was the allergy and respiratory researcher at Pfizer. So he was like in charge of the respiratory and research center. Literally in charge of it's a respiratory virus? That's your guy. And he's telling you there's no pandemic.
If you're one of the 5.5 billion and you regret your decision because you are either coerced, forced, risk losing your job, I've made a couple of videos on this already. There's a spike protein flush by Dr. McCullough. I have 2 videos labelled "If You Regret the Jab." Apparently nicotine is also a good way to flush this out. I've recently learned of a new way of flushing this shit out of your system. It's called NAC, and I'm going to do a video about this in the next couple of days. So keep your eye open for it. I'll label it something like "How to Flush Out That Shit."